Yes. Okay, the webinar is live now on YouTube and being recorded. And the first committee, can everybody hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We can hear you.
Yes.
First committee is planning and zoning. And let me double check one thing if Don Branzel went on. He was having trouble. No, he's not on. He was having trouble with his Wi-Fi at home, so I don't think he's going to be on. Okay, so the first committee is planning and zoning. Mr. Burley, if you're okay.
Yes, I'm fine. Patty and Tommy ready to go?
Yep.
Okay.
The only thing I have is just reminders for managers updates. So I'm just going to skip over that. And I can briefly give Don Branzel's report, Mr. Burley.
Sure, that'll be fine.
First, there's two items he wanted to, actually, he had a couple other things he's going to tell you, but this is the two most important things. First, he received tree maintenance bids, as you see there on your notes. The lowest bid in both cases for pruning and removal is Carl's Tree Service. And this is from the list that is put together every year by Tree and Shrub and Mr. Branzel. In cooperation in cooperation with each other, they do that. So if you folks are okay, Carl's would get the vote by motion. I think we can do one motion to cover both removal and pruning since it's just Carl's. Would that be okay, Mr. Corbel, if they agree to do that? Okay, so if you're okay with that, Mr. Branzel was recommending that you vote to approve Carl's. Anybody have any questions or any problems with that? That would be on December 15th. I'm not hearing any problems, so I'm going to move on.
Okay.
As you noted from a report that came from Mr. Gilliland last week at, I think, Operations or Borough Property, I forget which, we have a grant to demolish a home, a blight remediation grant. And the home on Marion, it was decided was not something that should be demolished. He has come up with another one, 1019 Sherwood, that could be used for blight remediation. Dave Gilliland did look at it briefly. There is a for sale sign that's been put up there recently, but according to Dave, he believes that as long as Mr. Corbel is okay with it, you could still demolish it. And Mr. Branzel believes it is something that should that could happen with this property. I don't know how you want to proceed from there. That's all the information he sent me. I don't really have anything else to tell you about that.
Okay, that's fine. Unless somebody else has any questions.
Can we just have Dave reporting that to these guys next month, maybe? I'm not sure how much time there's left on that, Steve. I've seen that's been for sale for a few months now, and it is in pretty bad shape. But I don't know if it's in bad enough shape to warrant demolition. I mean, obviously I'm not a
Okay, so you're suggesting hold it to January. Hold it for January committee. Tom, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I just don't think we should vote on it now without looking at it better and tear this house down. It's kind of same as before. If it's worth, if someone's going to buy it and fix it up, that's a better option than us tearing it down and probably don't ever build a new house there again, especially kind of where that one's located at.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay,
I mean, it might be worth tearing down, if we get a little more information.
Yeah, and unfortunately he can't be here. So I would agree with you if nobody else has any problems with that, I would agree with you that makes sense.
Yeah, at a minimum, we should talk to the property owner.
And I don't remember, there was some problem with the owner. I'm not sure what it was. Again, Don Branzel was hoping to be on here. So I will put it on January committee.
Okay, sounds good.
That's all that I have, Mr. Burley.
Okay.
Under committee business, I would just like to report under committee business that I did meet with the Planning Commission, as did Bill, and they have agreed to take on the Complete Streets policy, and they're looking at especially focusing on things that are under the jurisdiction of the borough. as primary action areas. And they're meeting again on January 27th with the full steering committee.
Yes, I just wanted to say, being there was a tremendous knowledge gain for me, and Patty gave a presentation along with her associate that was very well done. And the Planning Commission did adopt to continue on, as Patty said.
Thank you.
Tom, you have anything to add or say? Okay. Well, yes. Oh, I thought somebody said something. All right, well, we're done.
Okay, if nobody has anything else for planning and zoning, I just need a few seconds to switch over to finance. And I will let you know, just give me a few seconds, please. Okay, Mr. Marco, I can do the manager's update on finance, if you're okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, I have several items. Unfortunately, I mislettered them. But in any case, the first item is cash flow year to date. I'm showing you that attached, and I will. Whoops, I'm sorry. It is attached to your agenda, and I wanted to show you on screen. Anyway, it is attached to the agenda, and you can see the red line is this year's. Now, I realize again it's low for a couple reasons. One being September was so high. Two being last year we had the money from the pandemic, and we did not decide anything. Council did not decide yet anything on money for the pandemic for this year. I don't know that we're going to have a problem necessarily through the end of the year. I talked with the treasurer and finance staff, and everybody seems to think we'll be okay for the last month of the year. Certainly, if we needed to take some money from somewhere else temporarily, we could do that while council decides how to handle the ARPA funds. But in any case, I don't think you need to. I think we'll be okay. That's just the best guess I have, though, based on what I know now. So does anybody have any questions about cash flow? Marcus?
Do you need authority that we can tell you right now that you can borrow from the ARPA fund, for example, if needed?
No, I mean, you could always do it as a ratification later on if we had to. I mean, that's happened before at the end of a month where we had to temporarily take money from somewhere. It doesn't happen often. If you would feel more comfortable doing that, though, we certainly could. It's up to you.
It's up to you. If you feel more, it's more
No,
up to you.
no,
If you want it in advance or not.
no.
The ARPA is later on the agenda, so we can talk about the ARPA fund there. But I don't see a need to borrow from any of our other reserves at this time.
Okay, so we'll go on from there. Item B, the first item B, because I accidentally put two item Bs there. Item B, 1, fee resolution for 2022. I gave everybody a copy of 9 pages from the resolution that involve changes. The first one actually comes on the 3rd page. And that has to do with my second bullet point, the sewer billing. But let me start with trash fee first. I did an estimate based on all the numbers I had, and I believe that the trash fee could be at $250, and that includes taking into account the recycling bins that we have, staff time, paper, the senior discount, postage, delinquents, because there's always some delinquents, which would require then a second mailing. So I think the number I gave you last week was 260. I think the 250 would be appropriate. If you wanted to have the budget itself eat some of the cost of the recycle bins, the big bins that are at various locations, you could possibly lower that a few dollars. It wouldn't be substantial. One of the things that was removed this year, according to Mr. Corbel, we used to have to pay a tipping fee for each bill, each house, each month, each bill. that went out. 50 cents was the only amount. It was not a huge amount, but that fact that we don't have to do that was another reason why I was able to come down to 260 for the my recommendation. So that is in there. That's actually on the last page, I believe, of the changes on the fee resolution. The middle changes you've already seen. That's the recreation changes. You already looked at that. The first one that's, I believe, on the third page, I gave you all of section 18, starting on page 1, going to the top of page 3. And I added a letter, double A. I don't know how I did this, but somewhere along the line over the years, I accidentally deleted the line item that covers the sewer billing fee, which is just 50 cents per bill. It's not actually, I'm sorry, it's 30 cents per bill. It has been up until this time. And I don't know how I did that, but I just double checked with Mr. Corbel. He said it would be sufficient to put it back in this year. I talked with Ms. Sarakowski, who handles that, and she recommended raising it to 50 cents if you're okay with that, because she believes the costs are going to be going up in 2022 for mailing. So in any case, that is also new in the fee resolution. Everything else stays the same. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Marcus?
You said the trash, it should be 250. Isn't that like now the time you have to make a call, like to make it 250? Or are you still going to change?
No, so you mean for the trash fee?
Yeah.
You would approve that as part of the fee resolution on December 15th.
But you think it will be 250 because you said it should be.
Every number I have says 250. Yes, right now I got everything
Okay.
final now. So yes.
Okay. You just said it should be. That's why I was confused.
Yes.
It will be. Okay.
It will be. Yeah. I'm sorry. And the rest of the fee resolution is in your budget book if you want to take a look at it. If you don't have any questions about that, though, I recommend you approve that resolution as is on December 15th.
Okay.
Any other issues?
Are there any concerns? I think we've been through this in great detail. This is a very detailed discussion of the reason for those costs.
Okay, if not, then let me move on to the budget. Oops, I'm sorry, my computer is giving me a problem here. Hold on one second. Okay, I have given you what I think is a final draft now that includes things like the new trash fee and the new trash expense. And I've outlined on here for the general fund where I made changes to revenues and where I made them to expenditures. I'm just going to highlight a couple things because you can read this, and maybe because there might be somebody on the screen watching. Oh, whoops, that's not the right one. Didn't want to share that. I wanted to share this. Hopefully I'm sharing. Can you see the Finance Committee report here?
A Word document.
Yeah, well, that's what I wanted to show you. Okay, so these are the changes that I think. The most significant change is the taxable assessed value has increased by a couple $1 million. It's going to continue to increase through the end of the year because there are a number of appeals, mainly the school district taking them on. And I believe it's already actually increased in the couple of hours that I between the time I printed this and now. I think it's up at a couple 100,000. It's going to continue to go up, but you have to come a point in time where you stop somewhere. So the number I have on your budget is 2.95 million as far as revenue is concerned, and that's assuming approximately 4% for delinquents and for appeals. Now, appeals right now have been going generally overwhelmingly in our favor, the borough's favor, that is. But I don't know if that will continue. The other ones that I changed, I saw slower growth in the line items you see here in the middle, starting with real estate lien and down to miscellaneous revenue. So I adjusted those downward, and you'll see on the budget pages that I sent to you, anything highlighted in blue, in light blue, is where I made changes. The line item 0136430 is the trash recycling contract, and that reflects the $250 annual fee. And total estimated revenues in this budget are 6.8 million, which is a 5.7% 0.65 increase over the 2021 budget. When I did the preliminary budget, it was a little over 3% increase, if I remember correctly. So it's gone up a little bit, but that makes sense because the trash fee has gone up. The trash costs have gone up from the bid we got from Waste Management. Does anybody have any questions about the revenue changes that I'm mentioning here?
And this is still within the conservative range of estimates.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in fact, I lowered things like
Yeah.
earned income tax because it's coming in very slow right now.
Yeah.
And cable TV franchise is very low. It is much lower than we had anticipated. So that's the reason why I lowered those things.
okay.
Under expenditures, the major change was the trash recycling contract, line item 01427,450. That comes in at 691,000 plus because of the increase in the bid cost from Waste Management. And then with tree service, you notice I did add the 30,000 you recommended. I'm still showing pruning and removal rather than tree maintenance. I will add that line item before I print this and combine pruning and removal, but I still have to show pruning and removal anyway because it's an existing cost through 2021, and that will have to be reflected in the audit and also reflected in the budget when we show the past year. I increased the transfer to road improvement fund of 1 mil because again, the taxable assessed value went up. Everything else though, you can read here on your own. I don't think there's anything that really stands out that's major. I do know this last point, RAD funds that is in the administration line items, that reflects how much money we have to give to an intergovernmental agency like the COG or the library or the sewer program or whatever, because there is an increase in the RAD money that we receive from this year compared to last year. Okay, so because of that, we would have to give a certain percentage. That's what that means at the last bullet. Again, you can read over this. Does anybody have any questions for me about that? Do you want me to show the numbers, the spreadsheet numbers? I can do that if you'd like to. Again, any of the changes are shown in blue on your spreadsheets.
And you had a separate sheet for the fire protection.
I'm getting to that.
Okay.
Anybody have anything for general fund? So I'm recommending that the general fund be approved at the number I gave you here, which is 6.8 million without a tax increase. The fee increase, the only fee increase is really the trash. All the other fees stay the same. Fire fee budget, I gave you a new one because I realized there was a couple things I had not taken into consideration when I gave you the first one. All the other budgets, road, corrective action, liquid fuels, they're all the same. Nothing's changed from the first one I gave you, so I didn't reprint those. But I did increase the estimated revenues because it looks like we're going to carry more money into 2022 than I anticipated originally. Also, I forgot under expenditures that the first payment for the new truck, which will come in 2022, occurs, as well as the final payment for the old truck. And the final thing is, you remember that you borrowed from the bond issue $91,395 to put a down payment on the new truck. Well, the intent was to repay that from the fire fee over time. So if you look at the budget, which I'll pull up here, at the bottom of my budget, I'm showing you the capital spending summary. Here's the down payment. Here's the actual. This is the budget, the estimated down payment. This is what we actually paid. I'm showing $10,000 that are going to go toward reducing that, paying that back to the bond issue. And that's coming from this line item right here, 2411,367 fire truck lease escrow. That line item right there is where I'm going to be adding that in. Now, you may think, well, 10,000 isn't much. Realize that there's a double payment right here. And next year, you're not going to have the $70,000 payment. That money should be able to go toward paying down what's owed to the bond issue for 2023. So you should be able to make it up fairly quickly. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the fire budget?
I'm good.
Okay.
Fine.
Then I'm going to stop sharing my screen, I think. I hope. Whoops. Wait a minute. There we go. So again, I would recommend approving all that. Everything else is stuff you can read on here. If you have no problem, though, I would put the budget down for a vote, as you see here, with all the fee resolution, et cetera, that I mentioned before.
Steve,
Any
did you get any
issues?
comments from the public based on what was posted online?
No.
Okay,
And and we have a copy, of course, here too. And there do have office art, but nobody asked to look at it, the preliminary either. So
okay.
if you don't have any questions, then I'm going to move on to item C on my list, which is the 2022 capital plan. I really don't have anything new to add to this. Again, I think the plan is unchanged from previous draft. I'm not going to give you an update. I need to make sure that the vehicle numbers are correct with Jimmy. That's the only thing that's in there separate. And there's nothing new going to be there. I just need to make sure that we still have a given year included in that list, because that list is a separate spreadsheet. We try to show the 5-year lease over time. So for example, I want to make sure that I'm not showing 2021 and 2022 for several vehicles. Otherwise, capital plan, my recommendation is, again, approve it as is. Council will have to review each item as you go next year and approve it individually, not just as a group.
Right. So we approve the plan, but we have to separately approve each expenditure based on
Right.
the plan.
Because
Yeah.
Right. Again, because the plan is not something that is required to be approved as part of the budget process. Just the general fund is required, but to be transparent, we still show everything. Okay. So again, I would just include that as part of the approval for the budget. And let me tie in before we get to the ARPA stuff from C down to item D, F rather. Boy, I really have these letters wrong, don't I? I'm sorry about that. It should be the bond issue spending. That stuff also is going to be part of the capital plan, as you know, based on Mr. Erbaldinger's recommendations. And I still have the same recommendations included on your agenda, which will convert into 2022. We're doing it step by step as we make payments from Mr. Erbaldinger's recommended items. We're doing them one at a time, and then we'll see how you want to move from there once you see what's left after we've done each individual thing. Right now, the backhoe and then that first truck were the two things that are being handled. And I believe we're going to then move on to the Westinghouse Westinghouse Rec Center work after that. But that's something that would happen in 2022 that the council would then review at that time. So that ties in with the capital plan. I probably should have had that right next to it. Okay, so let me move back to ARPA then. Again, I'm showing you this calculator that was put together by GFOA. And I've looked at it. I've had the finance staff look at it. And I still believe this is pretty close to being correct, if not actually correct. And what it says, again, just to refresh your memory, is that the amount you see in pink at the bottom, 513,000 plus, is how much they believe we lost in revenue due to the pandemic based on this calculation. And so that's how much of the ARPA funds could go to reimburse the borough's general fund, if you wanted to do that. And now I know you folks had said you wanted to wait and see what we needed to do with the Alcosan line that is part of the regionalization plan. That's not going to happen, of course, till 2022, which is one reason why nothing else has happened with the ARPA funds, other than the fact that we did get the first 300,000. So I would suggest right now just keeping this on here and not making a decision on it yet until you see what the final thing is for the Alcosan line.
Okay, the first 300 and some thousand is in the general fund account somewhere. Is that it?
No, we put it in a totally separate fund.
Okay. Okay, so that it's available to draw on. So in fact, if we do find a revenue shortfall at the last month of the year, we could draw on that.
You could, yes. I mean, that's And that's one reason why I did not put it in the general fund. That's one reason why
Yeah.
the general fund cash is lower,
Okay.
because
And the
you have
second
to,
thing is
council
the-
has to make that decision, not me, not the finance staff. So we make sure we kept it separate.
Okay, and the 514 is considerably in excess of our estimates of what the Alcoasand project will be. As I recall, it would be about 235, 275,000.
Somewhere about in between there was the original, I think it was around 250. But
Yeah,
again, PennDOT is threw a wrench into that. If you remember, we talked about this last week at Public Works, when they said they weren't sure whether their work was going to interfere with that line or not. And they weren't sure that that wasn't going to cost somebody more money, probably us. That's another reason to wait.
so we keep a buffer in case we need it for that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you won't get the other
We don't lose
300,000.
this money by not claiming it by the end. We have time, right?
Yeah, till the end of 2023, I believe.
So we have
Um,
time. We don't have to make this decision right now.
No, in fact, the second half of it doesn't come until 2022, somewhere around May.
Okay,
So again, I would keep it on. I would keep items, the ARPA fund and the bond issue stuff on this agenda for the future meetings for January and February.
okay.
I don't have anything else to report on if you don't have any questions for me.
Okay, I think we're good with that. Anyone have anything else under committee business that you want to raise?
I'm good.
Good.
Okay, all right, I think we're done then. Thank you very much, Steve.
Okay, I just need a few seconds and we'll go to committee of the whole. And Mr. Tomasic, I'm good if you're okay. Okay, manager's update. Most of this is just reminders. The end of year reminders includes a citizenship award, which I mentioned at Ops and Policy last week. You see all the things that have to happen in December, including the police pension contribution. That'll be on your agenda as a resolution for approval. And then again, the organization meeting is on January 3rd at 7 o'clock. I am sending information on to the new people who were elected, as well as the people who are currently elected. I'm sending them the same information, so you see what I'm giving out. And I will give out to everybody on the new council a draft agenda for the organization meeting before New Year's. Probably actually I'm going to have to get that on the borough website before New Year's. And I'm not sure who is going to be available to administer the oath. It's been Judge Caulfield in the past. I don't know if he's available now, and I don't know if any of you have somebody in particular that you want to use instead.
Stephen.
Yeah.
Steve, Judge Caulfield spoke with me in a casual conversation about a week ago, and he has expressed an interest in swearing in anybody who would like to be sworn in. I've also reached out to Judge-elect Sabrina Corbel to gauge her interest. She is getting back to me because she's going on a first come, first serve basis. So I think we should probably just coordinate with the new folks who are about to be sworn in, make sure if they have a preference.
I would like to add that if the mayor is sworn in, I believe he has the authority to swear in the rest of the members of council.
I do.
So if
I'm
you were
certainly
the
happy to do
first,
that.
so that would relieve anybody from having to come here at that night. The only thing we have to do is make sure that the mayor is sworn in first.
The only other thing to add to that, the citizenship award, as you know, Ms. Sawicki is getting that. And I did ask the mayor if he had any recommendations about comments I would put on the certificate. These comments are brief. They're not like the typical mayor proclamation or council proclamation where you have 8 or 9 different paragraphs. This one just has one paragraph of about 2 or 3 sentences. And I'd asked the mayor in an email if he had any comments on specific items you wanted me to recognize Ms. Sawicki for, as council had recommended last week. So Mayor, if you do have any suggestions on what you'd like me to put in those couple paragraphs, if you look at your email, I sent you an example from last year of what we did with Mr. Lanigan.
If I get it to you by Friday, is that enough time for you to prepare it?
Oh, yeah, Friday would be perfect. That's fine.
Perfect. Great. I'll do it then.
Okay, so that's all that I have
Hang on,
for,
I'll try to make a comment before.
Oh, I'm
actually,
sorry,
one
Marcus,
item
go ahead.
before.
yes, go ahead.
I'm okay with Tom Caulfield swearing me in. I think we should keep it local and don't have Sabrina Corbel drive all the way to Forest Hills. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, I don't know about the new people.
Okay, I'm going to send out some more information to other people too in the next day or two, and you'll be copied on it, Mr. Erbldinger. And I'll mention in there about the oath of office too, along with some other information I'm going to give them. The next item I have, the fire department sent bills for the borough truck. Mr. Tomasic has some comments on that. No? Oh,
I was going back to the swearing in.
go ahead.
Let's make sure that everybody has all of their paperwork and everything necessary for the swearing in ceremony, okay?
Yeah, Mr. Corbel just talked to me about the affidavits, and we did send that information out to everybody. All five elected officials know about it.
All right, thank you.
We did get a couple back in already. I don't think they're all in yet. The fire department sent me bills for the borough-owned truck, including a pump test and some other repairs they had done with it. As you know, we typically take this out of either the fire fee or that fire truck line item in the general fund. Right now, I think probably be better to take it from the general fund, but that's up to you.
No, hold up.
Okay.
Any of those bills come out of the fire protection services fee?
Okay, I'm not sure how much money's there either, so I'll need to look, but that's
Well,
fine. Is it okay?
If that should not come out of the general fund. If we do have to put money in there to cover any bills, okay, it should be on the same basis as we did before. The money should be returned to our general fund. None of that stuff, all those bills should come out of the fire protection services fee and nowhere else.
All right. Is everybody okay with those bills? Any objection, any problem, Mr. Erbldinger?
I looked at them, they're just the routine stuff, so I'm okay with it.
Okay. The other thing I have as far as reminders, I repeat the information about the organization meeting and remind you that the 2022 meeting calendar will be approved at the next meeting. On there, you're going to have one January committee meeting, January 11th. I'll be sending that calendar out also to the new elected people probably this week, but that's already been set. And I've already got feedback from the various boards and committees, so I have their meeting dates established as well, and I'll be able to advertise all that in December. If anybody has any questions, I'll be quiet. If not, I'm done.
Okay, I just want to make a statement to the council before we move on here to the solicitor's report. I went back and looked at the minutes going back to 2008. In 2007, we took $30,000 directly out of the reserve fund and bought a police car. Okay, we took 2008. I remember we moved $2,000 from the mayor's budget to buy a bulletproof vest. And anytime we need to move money around, we just move it around. It's not a very difficult thing to do. And if you need to take it out of reserve. However, some of these things should be self-funding. So when we talk about our trash budget, for example, the only monies that should go to that are straight from that budget. The same should apply to our road budget, okay, and the fire protection services fee. Those should be self-funded completely and 100%. We can always move money in, but if we do, we need to have it paid back out of those funds to the general fund that we have, okay? All right, solicitor's report, Mr. Corbel.
I'm muted. I know. Just real quick, I prepared the coal tar ordinance in accordance with council's direction. In a way that is identical to the Aspenwalt ordinance for the 15th. And that's the end of my report. Oh, we are having an executive session, as everybody knows. not to steal Mr. Tomasik's thunder, and we'll discuss potential litigation matters and a couple matters that require the advice of the solicitor. And that's the end of my report.
Mr. Corbel?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, you broke up in the middle of that on my end. Did you say that the coal tar ordinance should be on the agenda coming up
Yes.
for approval as an ordinance, not, it's already been advertised, et cetera?
Yep.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. And the last item I have there is just a general report. And looking over the budget, moving into the next year, I believe we're in good financial shape, especially with the funds that are coming in or due to us. So I think we're going to leave the next council in good financial shape, and then they will make decisions moving into the future. And that concludes my report, and that ends the committee of the whole. Thanks, everybody.
And I am on the way.
Okay, see you all.
Bye.
I'm ending the meeting. Thank you all.